new giveaway tee. Look at that. We're donated with Koenig, or wait, no, we didn't donate to Koenig wheels. We partnered with Koenig wheels to give away a free set of Koenig wheels. If you guys are looking to pick up a free set of wheels, you can actually enter in by picking up one of these t-shirts. We'll also be making a donation to the ASPCA because we like helping puppies and kitties. And then the giveaway is gonna end at the end of the month. And then I'm gonna go beat some against Dakota and Gels and Mario and whoever wants to throw hands with me in any video game, any sort of competition, ping pong, foosball, don't matter, I'm taking the cake. So if you guys wanna be entered in to win, pick up one of these t-shirts and then you can watch Dakota and I go toe to toe in some sort of competition, but let the record state, hasn't won yet. Welcome to 2019, where people are making
slow cars fast,
fast cars slow,
wide cars wider for some reason, and tires less functional. All of which, you do you, boo-boo, you know, it's fine. But one other thing that also seems to be happening in the past few years especially is the decline of enthusiasts in the domestic market. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, and on today's history episode, we're talking about why or if muscle cars are dying. It's a touchy subject. Take a look at any massive old school car show, which is mostly filled with domestic cars that you may not find too exciting to some younger people. But anyway, you may not find that they are as enthusiastically packed as they once were, which is an unfortunate thing to see. Well, why? I mean, when you find some of the most common and popular national shows out there, you can take a look at really what the ratio is from domestics to non-domestics. And for the most part, those old school classic shows are all domestic muscle cars. The 90s were an introduction of a car type that most automotive enthusiasts weren't too used to at the time, especially in such a successful way. The 90s came through like just slamming because the JDM kind of came on board and they were all the 90s rage. They didn't, how do you say it? They didn't, what do the kids say? What do the kids say? Slap. Over time, the JDM cars actually started to take over a lot of the domestic muscle car era because for enthusiasts, that was really the only thing that you got at the time. Now, there were still vehicles in the 70s and 80s that the Japanese car manufacturers were importing into the United States, but it didn't really take long because it really started to get ahead in the 90s. Once you started adding a decade or two of history, pretty much you have a massive JDM enthusiast-driven community that prefers the good old turbo 4-skis or even a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder to the naturally aspirated V8s, which is a thing. You have to remember that from the domestic car market, looking back into the 60s and 70s, there really wasn't a whole lot of competition, even if you take it back further into the 50s, if that is your thing. So a lot of these people that picked up some of these muscle cars, you know, they weren't part of the whole JDM scene because it wasn't really a thing at the time. So over time, what do you think happens? You know, like there's a ton of people that now have a passion around a different type of car called a Japanese import car. Well, they go hang out together, ya goose. Duh, they eventually, cause you know, somebody eventually gets the bright side of hosting what we would call a meet, and those meet then turn into car shows, and then those car shows turn into some of the big old boys that we now know and love today, which is the same thing that happened with muscle cars at the time. So just like anything else in the world, as these shows get bigger and appeal to naturally a younger audience, because those that were only in the muscle cars when they're in the 60s and 70s, when you look at the JDM cars of the 80s and 90s, those older shows don't see the same amount of love anymore. It starts to differentiate the market in terms of what people would want to enjoy. And can you guess what's at those older shows? Yeah, muscle cars, especially the old ones. Now that's not to say muscle cars don't exist, because they definitely do, especially car shows and things like that. But the enthusiast lifestyle has been shifting, and now it's just easier to see, especially as you know, time goes on. That's kind of how it works. On top of that, muscle cars that most of you and I remember require quite the upkeep, and plenty of them just end up making their way to the scrapyard. They rust, they break, or they end up no longer having an owner because owners are old, because the cars are old, and I've made myself sad. Now, there is no denying that a lot of hot rodders and muscle cars are for the older generation. If you've been to Iola or Automotion Classic Car Show, you'll know what I mean. We can all assume we know what that means, and I'm about to make myself sad again. But it goes back into the statistics of some of these older shows and sometimes the muscle cars that go along with that enthusiast mindset. It's just going into the stats, the good old geometry of it all. Just taking a look at the good old days and the good old numbers, you could see that, you know, muscle car fans of the Ford Mustang and the Chevy Camaro and even the Dodge Challenger Charger saw their combined sales actually fall 7% in 2016, 11% in like 2017, and almost 10% into half of 18. I mean, most muscle cars are owned by baby boomers. That age has, you know, a termination date, and that's starting to happen. And you're gonna see that especially as the 50-year mark starts to come around. So the numbers and the stats of the cars actually selling and discontinuing don't really help the genre of automotive enthusiasts, especially muscle cars, because people buy muscle cars to enjoy them. The shows are still there, just not as prominent. So does that actually mean then that muscle cars are dying? That's actually a really good point, because not necessarily. Modern day muscle cars have come back in full swing, just in a different way. You'd be hard pressed to find many people get mad about the new GT500 or Camaro ZL1. I would make the same case about the Corvette, but people seem to be getting a little weirded out, a little uncomfortable with the image that's surfaced of its mid-engine, grill-looking thing, honeycomb style-esque Camaro back-end looking thing, which is whatever. We always seem to freak out when things change, and then they change and all of a sudden we're okay with it. It's just weird how life works. Muscle cars are jumping into the 21st century. They have things like aero, electronic adjustable suspension, more timeless features, and some other goodies, like a proper quality interior for a car that has a $70,000 price point. It would be nice if things didn't squeak the moment that you got them off the lot, especially on a muscle car, which used to be pretty common. The problem is when you go down into entry-level modded muscle cars. Ecotechs and turbo 4-cylinders are now taking the heart cavity of newer muscle cars because things change. Gone are the days of people needing a V8, and in are the days of people just wanting a fun sports car regardless of power plant. Muscle cars, are they a V8? That's the debate. If you think muscle cars are the classic boys with the long hoods and the massive naturally aspirated motors, I would say you're right in assuming that they are dying, because they're an older car with an older group of people around it that have an older passion for it. However, if muscle cars are more about the platform and the brand here from the good old United States of America, like the Ford guys, the Chevy guys, and the Dodge guys, then you may find yourself back in the upswing of muscle cars and the fact that they are more popular now in the younger scene than ever before. After all, they are one of the most commonly slammed cars in our gallery these days. So are muscle cars dying? That's a pretty tough question when you actually start to dive into it, because it depends on what you define yourself as a muscle car. If you're looking at classic muscle cars, modern muscle cars that are coming from the United States, where's the motor? How is the motor made? How many pieces are from the United States compared to others? Really, it turns into this whole little thing. Now, muscle cars are always going to have a special place on our heart, even though most of us are more of the import and European guys. But what do you think? Are muscle cars actually dying? Drop a comment below, and don't forget that if you're looking for wheels, tires, or suspension for your dying genre car or not, head out to fitmentindustries.com. We actually have all of it there. It allows us to make sweet videos like this. And of course, we have a massive online gallery, aftermarket gallery, where you can see all of the muscle cars slammed on the ground, because any 2015 Ford Mustang in our gallery is just planted on the ground because it just looks so good and you can't go wrong with it, and I just absolutely love it. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. We will see you later. Peace.